You had to know it was coming. Welcome to a Notsam Wrestling emergency podcast. No siren, because I'm here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Just got back from the arena watching Wrestlepalooza live, where we also did the Wrestlepalooza recap podcast, where I was also part of the Road to Wrestlepalooza show on ESPN, where I was also part of the countdown to Wrestlepalooza. It was Wrestlepalooza heavy, but it was a big deal for WWE. And it was treated within WWE like a big deal to be a part of ESPN. And more importantly than all that, ESPN treated it like a big deal. Last night, I was in the bar restaurant here at the hotel, and ESPN was on. And it was inescapable. The lower third had a graphic for Wrestlepalooza. If you go to ESPN's website, there's articles about Wrestlepalooza. The extra promotion that went into it from an ESPN standpoint was fantastic. Even doing shows like the Road to Wrestlepalooza was a big thing. And we might, at some point, podcast about the greater sort of spectrum of what ESPN encapsulates for the WWE beyond just a different place to stream premium live events. But we're here to talk about our feelings. We're going to have a lot to break down going forward. You know, we just saw Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins have that confrontation on the post show. That's obviously leading towards Crown Jewel, where we're still, apparently, I would imagine, going to have that champion versus champion scenario. But that will probably be something that we talk about on Monday when we're more into the analysis portion of the show. Now it's feelings, and to me, we didn't have any surprise debuts per se. We didn't have that sort of like, oh my God, we need to talk about this, except for, to me, I mean, you had Stephanie McMahon going in the Hall of Fame. That was a huge moment, but I think that the most noteworthy thing felt very similar to what the most noteworthy thing was coming out of SummerSlam in 2014, which was Brock Lesnar beating John Cena. And the reaction, online at least, that I saw to Brock Lesnar beating John Cena was similar to what I saw in 2014 when Brock Lesnar did it at SummerSlam after he had defeated The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. And I had brought this up as a possible scenario. I didn't think it was going to happen. That's part of the magic. You know, I was talking to somebody before the show. What do you think is going to happen? I said, I think John Cena is going to beat Brock Lesnar. I think John Cena is going to beat Brock Lesnar. I think you know that Brock then goes away for a while and he comes back and he comes back as a babyface to wrestle maybe Gunther, who maybe is going to beat John Cena in John Cena's last match. But that's not what happened. With only 6 appearances left, including Wrestlepalooza, John Cena ate another loss. He's now lost to Cody Rhodes. He lost the Royal Rumble, and he lost to Brock Lesnar. And I think there are a lot of people that have a problem with the idea that Brock Lesnar, quote unquote, didn't need the victory. I don't even like the phrase need the victory, not need the victory. To me, it's what does the story dictate? Does the story dictate that this person should have the victory or not have the victory? It's not like at the end of a career, you go over a wins and losses category and say, well, he needs the victory, he doesn't, right? I think that there's a different play here. And it's a similar play, I would imagine, to what happened at SummerSlam, but I don't think we're done with Brock Lesnar versus John Cena. And for me, I mean, and it's interesting because I thought Brock Lesnar was really great in this match as far as wrestling goes. I thought the way he sold the 3 attitude adjustments, if you want to figure out why people believe that Brock Lesnar is good at professional wrestling, look at the way he sold those 3 attitude adjustments. First attitude adjustment, he pops up, but he's staggering. It hurt him, man. Second one, he pops up, but he shouldn't have. He can't believe how bad it is. And third one, he's down. Like, when Brock Lesnar decides to sell, Brock Lesnar sells. He makes it count. And for me, that moment made it count. At SummerSlam in 2014, Brock Lesnar did suplex after suplex after suplex after suplex. And it felt uncomfortable for a lot of people watching. And it got to the point where people were like making comments about Brock Lesnar not being good. All he did was the same move over and over again. But that's the point, right? That Brock Lesnar isn't putting on a show. That Brock Lesnar is only there to decimate. And he's there to make kids cry. And that's what he did. And they showed kids crying. And by the way, you know, people who are like, well, I mean, this is the way when Hulk Hogan would get defeated or hurt by somebody, they would show kids crying. That's the way that story was told. And Brock Lesnar has had this aura of authenticity to him that we haven't really seen in this version of, at least, for years. I mean, we haven't seen him at all in a couple of years, but it's been a long time. You know, Cowboy Brock was almost beloved. Cowboy Brock won the crowd back. And tonight we saw a return of 2014 Brock Lesnar. Look, I didn't watch this match. I thought the match was what it should have been if this is the story that you're going to be told. Now, if Brock Lesnar is going away after this, if this is the only John Cena Brock Lesnar match and that's it, and Brock Lesnar just came back to do this, then I'm going to say, why did you do that? Like, why do we need to believe in Brock Lesnar this much if that's not the story that's being told? I think that there would be a lot of people, and really myself included, that would be fine with the idea of we're just going to do some John Cena dream matches until, you know, the end. John Cena's got 5 appearances left on his deal. John Cena's got Perth is his next appearance that's on the calendar, which is the PLE, which right there, I mean, more of us should have been ready for this scenario. I had said that the only other scenario would have been if John Cena said, well, I'm going to be in Perth for an open challenge, and we just get a John Cena AJ Styles match that we can just appreciate. But realistically, if he's not going to be on TV, it's like, what are you going to do? Maybe a Brock Lesnar rematch. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'll tell you when I started to realize, like, okay, we may be doing something different here. Brock Lesnar had a tremendous, and is being built the way he was being built after WrestleMania 30, where it's not that fun. And I think there was a risk of fun coming in after the R-Truth segment, because I think he came across as like, the fact that his pants ripped in the R-Truth segment, he was kind of fun Brock for a minute again, and even interacting with R-Truth, even though he's there to hurt R-Truth, is still kind of like, oh, Brock's having a good time. And that's not the Brock we want. That's not the Brock we need for the story that is being told. For the story that's being told, this Brock is ruthless Brock. This Brock is ruin your day Brock. Especially if he's just back to blow John Cena's retirement tour. Because we don't have any information other than he's back to ruin the retirement tour because he can ruin the retirement tour. So when I started to go like, okay, there's something afoot here, was not just looking, because what do you have? You have Perth, then you have 2 Raws, then you have Survivor Series, then you have his final match. And that's what you've got left for John Cena in this calendar year. So on SmackDown, Brock comes out and it's like, okay, no more, we're having fun. He goes after Michael Cole. And if you want to get somebody over as a true heel, have them go over after Michael Cole. Michael Cole was getting chants. He was getting chants on the Countdown show tonight. He was getting chants on SmackDown on Friday. People love Michael Cole. And deservedly so. But so Brock Lesnar goes in to attack Michael Cole. Instant heat. You know, that's the era that we're in. So he goes in to attack Michael Cole, but Corey Graves makes the save. And people, wrestling fans, love Corey Graves because he's so good. Because he's so good, and he gets it, and we love that he gets it, and we get that he gets it. It's just, but Corey Graves eats 2 F5s. And he's left laying. I mean, limp. Perfect. He handled it perfectly. But then a commercial break goes by. We've seen this version of Brock. Mean Brock is back. And then he says to Paul Heyman, we should talk. Smiles and leaves. When Paul Heyman revealed himself tonight as doing Brock's announcing, I said, okay, never mind. When Paul Heyman announced Brock Lesnar, I said, okay, never mind. Never mind my Cena idea. I said, I think we're getting Suplex City Brock Lesnar again. I think we're getting bad guy Brock Lesnar again. And the reason for that is I started spinning ahead. And I said, okay, Brock Lesnar versus Cena can happen in Perth, right, if he loses. But where's this ultimately going? People go, could be a 3-match scenario. And I said, yeah, it could be a 3-match scenario. But it also could end at Survivor Series. It could end in War Games. And I'm saying that the pieces of the puzzle are fitting to do Team Brock versus Team John Cena. Now, where am I getting that? From just the facts that I've laid out. Brock Lesnar had his announcements done by Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman went on the Raw Recap podcast, which, by the way, after this pod, if it's up, go on YouTube, watch the Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed interview from Wrestlepalooza Recap podcast. It was insane. I was fearing for my life. But he addressed Brock Lesnar a little bit. He went on the post show. He addressed Brock Lesnar a little bit. There's no tension with Brock Lesnar. There's no tension between Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Brock Lesnar. Almost like there's a cooperation with Brock Lesnar. So, if you're going to do Team Brock Lesnar, and I'm just saying Team Brock Lesnar and Team John Cena, you can call them whatever you want. But what if now that Brock Lesnar has this connection with Paul Heyman, well, guess what? They're at least, it doesn't mean he joins the vision. He doesn't have to join the vision. But he could still be a part of this team where it's like Brock Lesnar and the vision. Brock Lesnar works with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman works with the vision. Brock and the vision have a commonality there. So Brock Lesnar's team becomes Brock, Seth, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. And then you look at whatever is happening with maybe a LA Knight. I could see LA Knight joining that team. If you want to expand it, you could put Drew McIntyre on that team. If LA Knight's not a heel, then he gets on that team. If LA, you know what? No, never mind. LA Knight's not on the team. Drew McIntyre is on the team. It's Braun, Bronson, Brock, Seth, Drew. That's your team. That's Team Brock. Cena can easily build a team of people who are some of his all-time rivals, but also have problems with the people that he's facing, right? You can do John teaming with, who's got a problem with Seth Rollins, CM Punk. You can do either a Cody Rhodes. I would definitely do, you know what, let's not put Cody Rhodes on the team. Let's have him defend his title outside the War Games. Let's do John Cena. Let's do CM Punk. Let's do Roman Reigns. Let's do Jey Uso. And let's do Randy Orton over from SmackDown. You can have now you've set up the War Games for that to be John Cena's second to last match. Well, if John Cena wins that match and Drew gets screwed in it, you can go to Drew versus John as your final match for John Cena. Like, now it feels like it's all mapping out to me. And the reason this all maps out is because it starts with Brock Lesnar beating John Cena at Wrestlepalooza. Now, maybe that's not where they're going. Maybe I just made that up in my head. Maybe I'm just making sense of something that I shouldn't be making sense of, but that's kind of what I do. And you can call me a shill for it, or you can just call me a guy who has fun watching wrestling and then make sense of where we're going next. Because I love the fact that Brock Lesnar is this guy that you can't count out of matches. I love the fact that sometimes we're going to get Brock and he's going to deliver us a classic. And he's going to tell an amazing story. And he might even be a babyface. And other times, you're going to get Brock who's going to make kids cry and ruin your day. And even as an adult, you're going to be sitting there left why. But I think a lot of times as adults, as wrestling fans, when we're sitting there left going, well, that was dumb. Well, I didn't like that. That was dumb. That's because that's the little child in us that is crying. All of us adult wrestling fans are feeding the child that's inside of us through professional wrestling. That's the only reason any of us watch professional wrestling. And we intellectualize it, and I intellectualize it, and it hits me on different levels. But at its core, the reason I am a professional wrestling fan is because I am feeding the inner child. And I think that's why we're all professional wrestling fans. And I think that when Brock Lesnar does a match like this, and we go, that was dumb, that was a waste of time, he only did 2 moves, I don't understand why that happened. That is our inner child reacting the same way the literal children in Indianapolis were acting, and crying and shedding tears. Let me know what you thought of the match. We're going to talk about everything else at WrestlePalooza, as well as everything else going on in this world of wrestling, and AEW All Out on Monday on Notsam Wrestling. So make sure you're subscribed across all audio platforms, Apple, Spotify, everywhere, so that you get that podcast right away. And make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NotsamWrestling, so you can watch these podcasts and be a part of the conversation in the comment section. Be there. I appreciate you guys. I will talk to you on Monday for the next Notsam Wrestling pod.